This is a great day. Let's get going on this. Alright. Let's do our puzzle rush. We're going to skip the plane. Excuse me. And we're going to go into survivalist to see how we do. Okay, this is a tricky one. We just have to visualize and think. How do we want to get a passed pawn in an endgame? We have 4 versus 3. We want to make a breakthrough. So we have to think, do we want to take the C5 pawn here takes B4. The only problem with that, if we think about it, what's the problem? Let's think. The king could actually take on D4. So if we take on C takes B4, king takes D4. And then basically we're losing. So what we have to think about now is there's another take. Another take is B takes C4, which is with check. And then at that point, the king would take, and we could actually play king e4, pawn takes, push, 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 push. And then when they queen, we come over and check. And I believe this takes here, 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 pawn takes, push. If this pushes, then push, push, queen. The king is right here. So when they queen, we just bring our queen over and skewer the other queen. So let's see if that is correct. King up, and there we go. You see how you work through these? And you have to be patient, calm, and collect, and have a good mind. On this type of chess puzzles. So we see that white played queen b4 to c5. And we have to think about what kind of did that leave behind. Well, what left behind was the rook on a6. Is there anything more that we can acquire besides that? And does our opponent have anything after that? And so let us take a quick scan. Excuse me. Just a little tired today. I was thinking about that takes, because sometimes it's just the queen itself that's the move could actually be a drawback, which means you're not protecting anything anymore. You have to always ask, what's the threat here? Really, I'm not sure what White's playing here. I really don't think White has a real plan. I'm just thinking, what in the world is White's plan? Just trying to figure out, let me see here. Queen takes a6. Is there any response to that? Don't see anything. Just pawn takes f4. Pawn takes f4. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Well, maybe pawn takes f4 if e takes f4. E takes f4, then bishop d4 check. But that's if they take with the pawn, which would blunder a whole queen. Let's see. Let's just say they take with the rook. That's way too slow, and that actually gives our opponent counterplay. Don't give your opponent any counterplay. I don't really see anything better than queen takes rook, so let's go with that. What I'm thinking about playing here is e4. I mean e3. e3. If rook check, king up. If rook takes pawn, king there. If rook check, king up. If check, you take the pawn, and now you basically have a monster of an attack. There's also this move here. If king, if push here, check, king up, rook takes, there's knight check. King there, pawn push, check, king up, and then queens. Yeah, I'm liking e3. I'm thinking check here, king up, knight c2, and if king takes, then you queen, and you're up a whole queen. Yeah, let's do that. Now this move here is devastating. So if you go queen f3 check, he has really only one move to go to. King g5. Rook g8 check. King h6. I'm looking to see if there's any checks. Nope. So here, there. Maybe we have rook check here, and then if king there, actually that's, the king would have to, so if check here, king there, check, king would come there at that point. Bishop check. King comes forward, and then queen check mate. Yeah. Now here, oops. Here, there, check. Here, and then queen mate. see here. I was thinking about queen takes, rook takes, queen a 8. Hey, how you doing? Rook a8, and then if the rook comes back here to basically e8, we can actually turn it in the c pawn into a queen. So this is the line I was looking at here. Is queen takes, I think that's f8 check. You kind of got to sack the queen. And then rook takes f8. And then rook a1, or a8, rook a8. That threatens to play. That threatens mate because the rook's not protected. So the rook has to. There's two moves. The rook can go rook e8, or, and I'll put it in brackets so that or parentheses, or potentially king g8 could be played. But still, the problem is, either one of those moves, you have the potential for a queen. If if he plays rook e8 here, of the choices, I actually can't start. I appreciate pushing the king g8. I mean, then what happens is you play rook takes g8 check, and after the king takes on g8. Then you get to do b8 equals queen check, which is incredible. So the best move would be rook e8 in that line, and then you can actually queen. And if the bishop then were to take the rook, let's say it took the rook trying to get some checks in, it wouldn't work. And if the rook took the queen, then the rook would take back, check, and then the queen would have to intercept on g8, and then the rook would take, and your pawn is far enough up the board to almost promote the a pawn. And you could even do a sneaky little trick of sliding your e-rook over to a1, decoying the bishop away from the protection of a7. And after the bishop takes on a1, you play a7, and there's no way the queen square is wrong for your opponent. There's no way for you as or your opponent to stop it. It's a light square, the bishop's a dark square. So I think we've analyzed this. I don't really see anything wrong with it, so let's see if we got her. And then rook a8. Oh, interesting. Okay, so now they're threatening. That I did not suspect. I'm thinking that we can just grab the rook here and then play a7. And I don't really see any saving move for black at that point. After they take back, we just play a7. And there's no way to save the position at this point. There's no more mate on f2. So we just grab the rook. Let's see how we're doing for time. Beautiful. We'll probably do another maybe 2 or 3 puzzles. We'll see how we feel and how they go. So we're not going to limit to how many we do. We're just going to see how we do. I'm looking at potentially rook f7. That check. That draws the king to king takes f7, and then knight e5 check fork, and you win the queen. So if the king were to take here, knight comes in forking the 2 pieces. So if check, and then king, we'll say e6. We still have knight. No, that doesn't work because then the knight could take there. Ouch. That's so sad. Oh, wait a second. We could play a sneaky little move here. Knight takes d5. Interesting. That actually threatens mate. So the queen has to take at that point. And then rook f8 does come into play a very important role. If the king moves, then knight f2 or f4. Again with the fork. Wow. That is interesting. Just think, it's a good thing we looked at this take with check before we went with rook f7, because the whole basis is to try to win and eliminate the, as Grandmaster Joel Benjamin says, is liquidation on the chessboard. We would come up a knight ahead in that line. Wow. Yeah. See that, maybe even a rook if played properly. I think it's a is it a knight? Maybe I'm missing. I think I'm missing some. After takes here, queen takes here. Can they just take? And then there's no more checks. Oh, drat! That doesn't do too well for our position. I think I'm so glad we took a second to look at this. So I don't think taking actually works in this. I'm reconsidering this move here. If knight takes, queen takes, I'll give you a second to think about it. I think the whole idea is based on pawn takes too as well. Yeah, I'm liking rook f7 too. Good job. I'm thinking that queen takes e5 is a strong continuation, because if queen takes e5, bishop takes e5, knight to c4, huh. I'm thinking that has to be the continuation. I'll move my trick over here. Queen takes e5. Check. Queen, not check. And if queen takes e5, bishop takes e5, knight and c4. That's an interesting continuation. So I'm just trying to figure out, is there anything better? Because let me see, we would be acquiring it's up a pawn. So 10, we'd have 10, 13, and then 17. We'd have 17 pawns. So our opponent would have 6 plus 11, 11 and 4, 15. So we're actually up 2 pawns in that line. In this line we're up 2 pawns, so if we take here, queen takes, bishop takes, knight, there is bishop takes, knight takes, and then rook takes bishop, which would maybe put us up 3 pawns at that point. What do you think about this move here, this combination? I'll give you a second to think about it here, and then after this combination, bishop takes b7, and if knight takes b7, then rook takes d2, and we should be up 3 pawns. We should be 3 pawns up. And we also have a passed a pawn. So I'll give you a second to think about it, to go over it. Because you know, you always gotta run it past Team Chess Cruncher, and we can do this. You take it nice and slow. You don't rush it. What's your decision, Team Chess Cruncher? Do you have an idea? Okay, go for it. I'm game. What's the line you're thinking of? Yeah, I think... Yeah. I was actually thinking in that line, this is the line I wanted to show you. You got a good line going there, but it's one sitch. I'm thinking that queen to queen b4 is the best continuation at that point. And then if queen takes b4, bishop takes b4, bishop takes e5, and I believe it's just I'll do the equal symbol. It's an equal position. It's an equal position at that point. Yeah, it's fine. No, I just wanted to show you that your idea, it's a good idea. It would end up with an equal position. That's never bad for black. But I always think of the Alekhine principle, which really helps me in some of my games. Sometimes I think a little too long, so I have to work on time management. But the idea is, if you see a good move, and check for a better one. Like if you see a good potential mate, look to see if there's a faster potential mate. If you have longer times, don't just rush into one. So I believe we're right on queen takes f5, because that's an immediate threat on the queen and the knight. And then even if the queen takes, the bishop would take back, which again threatens the knight, which would win a pawn, which would win more material, which would basically create us a pass a pawn. I'm hoping this is 100% right. Let's give it a go. Yeah. But you're doing excellent on calculating, so congrats on that. That's calculation takes a lot of time and work. And even when sometimes I spot calculations, I'm like, that doesn't work the way I thought it was. And then you get to recalculate, and it just helps lay down myelin so that you're able to improve your calculation, and then you spot the right line, and kaboom, like we said. Then we get to say, like what Hannibal Smith says, we love it when a plan comes together. Okay, dokie. So let me see here. this one's an interesting one. I think we'll probably take it to 43 tonight before we log. We'll try to get to 43. Let's see, let's go 100%, 110% as I like to say on this. First of all, I know for surety, I'm pretty sure, probably 95% sure that rook d6 is the first move, rook d6, because you have to put an attack to that rook, that knight. So rook d6 is what I'm considering. Then you got knight. The only problem is knight takes b6. And it's like, ouch. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything that trying to figure out, because I'm trying to see if there's anything better, because after knight takes b6, it's attacking our rook on c7. Trying to figure out, after here takes, the knight is attacking our rook on c8. We could actually just take the knight. After rook takes, then knight drops in, forking that rook. Actually, I got it. Rook d6, knight takes b6, rook takes b6, and then knight takes e2, check. Yeah. Okay, we'll call it. Let's see what time is it. Well, maybe we can. We'll try one more. We'll do one last one, because then that'll take us to an even 44. That's a good idea on the pinning the knight, though. That is a good idea. You always got. You have to always look for the most forcing moves. There's always a tactic there. You know, you have to always think. Again, that's a good move? Is there a better one? Always go down that route, and it can't. Fail you. You can't go wrong there. You may run out of time, which means you'll have to calculate a little quicker, but hey, as long as you found the right combination. But you gotta, time management's huge. So, one more, and then I gotta call it. Let's see here. What did the queen take? Okay, the queen took a pawn. I'm looking at, this is a really interesting move sequence. You have to look a little far. I'm looking at rook d1. Rook d1. For one purpose. If queen takes if queen takes b6, rook takes d1, check. Queen would have to retreat back to g1. Rook takes g1, and then king takes g1, and you're up. It's kind of, you're up a whole rook, but you're up in exchange. So it's one of those interesting continuations. You have to always consider, is it better to, then you have to consider, is queen takes c6 a good idea? Then bishop takes c6, because that's forced. Rook d1, rook takes d1, and then king to g2, and you're still up material. Does it really, is there something better? I'm just trying to see, are we missing anything here? There's potentially queen f2. Then you have queen c1. And then queen takes e1. Queen takes e1. Rook c1. Queen takes rook d8. d1 I mean. Then queen takes d8. Rook takes d8. Huh, interesting. Maybe this move is best here. Maybe there's queen e4 though. There's rook d1. The bishop. If the rook takes. So maybe queen f2 isn't too bad of an idea. There is rook f1 though. Rook f1 might be a problem. See, queen f2, rook f1, or g1 I mean. g1, and that solidifies everything. Oh boy. But we still have rook d1. Yeah, we still got rook d1. But the problem with rook d1 is, well, nothing actually. If rook takes d1, rook takes d1, bishop intercepts mate. Interesting. what's your opinion on Rook F2? And then this is the last one we're doing, so I'll see what you say about Queen F2. I mean, what's your thing on Queen F2? Your idea? Do you have any ideas, or do you think there's a better idea? Okay. So let's do it. We'll call it here. So it must have been Rook D1. That's okay. We'll call it here. Okay. Want to thank y'all for logging on, participating. You know what? You gotta keep pushing forward. Sometimes you gotta stop while you're ahead. When you start getting a little tired on puzzles, you gotta try to push yourself to the limit. But if you get it wrong, you gotta just kind of stop for a sec. But you know what? We saw a good move. You know what? You have to always remember to take what you know, be able to apply it, and when we do finally strike out, we'll be able to find out what the right moves were for those two moves, and we'll then be able to apply it like we always talk about, and then do something with it. Remember to treasure your victories, learn from your losses, and remember that mistakes do not define who you are. It's how you handle the mistake that defines who you are. And remember that the gift of salvation is a free gift from the Lord Jesus Christ. We all one day have to decide what we're going to do with the Lord Jesus Christ. And the Team Chess Cruncher motto is what we stand on. That's why we talk. That's why we go over it, and that's why we do our thing of we hang up our coats as a team, we hang up our hats, we sit down as a team. When most will, as a team, we study. And that makes all the difference. And as Wesley So says through the Lord Jesus, I say God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening. And Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll keep pushing forward. Remember what Hannibal Smith said. Even what looks like a random position, there's always a plan there. And when you find it, you get to say, I love it when a plan comes together. Okay, 2 thumbs up. Stay strong through the Lord Jesus Christ during this time. And I will see you next time, okay? Be blessed. Bye-bye, Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah! Stay strong through Jesus Christ. Bye-bye.